Unbound Woman podcast. I am your host, Niamh, a feminine embodiment and sexual empowerment coach. And I am here to bring you to a deeper level of desire, pleasure, intimacy, and love in your life. Through the methods of somatic work, sensuality work, sexuality, pleasure, and learning to use your voice, I help you come home to your body and find those deeper connections for yourself. On this podcast, we're going to talk about so many different topics, from boundaries to consent, to sexuality, to sensuality, to finding out what your pleasures are, and on the way, help you to become the unbound woman that you were here to be. We will also have special guests on talking about their unbound woman journey and what it means to them to be an unbound woman. So, grab a glass of red wine or a cup of cacao, sit on the couch, light yourself some sensual incense and listen in. And I can't wait to see you in the next episode. Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of the Unbound Woman podcast. We are actually back on video today. Oh my god, it's been a hot minute, right? I am changing around my room at the moment, so I haven't really got to finishing it. So you just get this background at the moment, but I will be back in my little podcast studio soon, once it's all done. But yeah, I am good. I'm just off the back of a cleanse. I did a liver, gallbladder, and I'm on a kidney detox at the moment. And it has been really interesting. Like the timing of it, the timing of everything in the last while has been just so incredible. But also it happening around the end of It's Not About the Orgasm, along with it being Easter week. And then as well with the eclipse, right? I started doing this just before the eclipse energy came in, and I'm finishing it now today. And so much has come through, like a massive energetic upgrade has happened. A lot of emotional stuff came up, like really old triggers and stuff that was coming up for me. But I'm starting to see it actually in all of my women's groups, along with like different people saying the same thing to me. And this is what I really want to talk about today, is doing this fucking journey on our own, right? This hyper dependent spiritual babe shit that I'm just not here for actually anymore. And basically for me, I have probably self-isolated for well over a year and a half now, if not a little bit more. I did have a coach at the beginning of my journey, and that was wonderful because during COVID, it was kind of one of the only interactions I had apart from my other half throughout the week. But as time went on, even though there was kind of a small group aspect to the coach I was with, it wasn't enough for me. And at the time, I was going through this upgrade of like, a lot of my friends fell away. I still have some friends from prior to me doing this work, but a lot of my friends fell away. Most of my friends lived over the other side of Dublin. And I had just kind of stepped into this spiritual work, and I felt very, very alone in it. And now, don't get me wrong, I have the most amazing support from my other half, but it's not fair to lean on him for everything. And I was starting to kind of find my feet in Portmarnock, and then we decided to move to Galway. And I uprooted, and came with me was obviously Liam and then my coach. And a few months after we moved, I let go of that coach for various reasons, and I don't feel like I want to discuss them. But I dropped that coach for that reason and found myself again isolating. And I know from my human design, from my gene keys, from my astrology charts, that community is actually one of the places where I thrive, right? And I've known this my whole life. I do thrive in connection. I do thrive with people. But I very much had this like, but I need to do this on my own narrative. And this is a narrative we actually have in the collective where it's like, you have to do the work, right? And this is true. You do have to do the work, but we are bringing in connotations that people have to do the work on their own. And I don't believe in that. I think we have made a whole load of hyper dependent people where they're so dependent on their own selves and their own selves to deal with stuff that they forgot that they have a community to lean on, or they're too afraid to lean on their community out of a space of judgment, of being judged, of fear of being seen. And I just really am not here for it. And I think specifically in the feminine space, this is huge. It's still quite clicky. That has not gone away. There is aspects where I'm seeing a lot of women who aren't being supported by one another, that are very much being gaslit or being told to just like, oh, think positive or love and light, or, this idea of just have compassion for yourself, right? And again, yes, we should have compassion for ourselves, but we're also using compassion as a way to spiritually bypass, right? If we're not listening to ourselves or we're not truly feeling what's coming up for us, that's what's happening. And I feel this narrative has really come from the boss bitch era, right? A lot of women who I know who are in this space came from corporate. And that was a space where you had to either get ahead or be left behind. Where I came from was law, and people would climb over your back and stab you in the back and stick their heels in their back while they walked over you, right? As much as you could have friends, you also were very aware that those friends were your competition. And I feel like that made me very hyper dependent in my workspace. Yes, I had friends, I had fun, but there was only a certain depth I would ever go with them to. And that wasn't because of them, it was because of me. It was because of my wanting to be hyper dependent, to not need friends, to be okay that if they stabbed me in the back in the morning or I had to do it to them, that I wouldn't feel bad, or that I wouldn't get hurt. And we see this all through school. Like, you see it in teenage books, you see it in teenage shows where like there's the pretty girls and there's like the bullying going on. And I had this with my friends, right? Bebo came out when I was younger, and that was the worst thing in the fucking world, because you know we had our top 16 and people would, like, you knew somebody wasn't talking to you because they passive aggressively would fucking change it on Bebo. Or your friends wouldn't invite you out but would invite such and such out. I went through a lot of that wounding, and I have found it here. I was wounded by one or two friends in this space as well, for various reasons. And I'm very aware it wasn't about me, but I was hurt. And I retreated. I came back into myself and I was like, I am even space in this. I am even safe in this space, which I am feeling a lot of women are feeling right now. And a lot of women have come to me to actually speak about it, about how they don't find that there's enough support out there, that they don't feel that there's a community of women that is really, really empowering. And this is what I'm here to build, right? Um, and you need to start looking for your community, but you also have to decide if you want to be authentic and vulnerable. And the difference between, I'm no queen at this. I haven't got everything figured out, but what I've started to do is just show up as my full authentic self. And if those people don't like me, that's fine. Because if I'm myself from day one, or even if it's day 300 or 400 or 10 years down the line, they decide that they no longer want to be in my life, I can go through the grief, but I also have to be like, well, you know, that space has been made for a reason. That person and I no longer align for a reason, and that's okay. But we have got to start showing up and feeling like we can become vulnerable with others. But that's also around people actually being able to show us that they're a safe space, right? Like, for me, one of the things I like to show all of the women who work with me is like, I am a safe space. There is nothing I can't hear. There is nothing I would judge you for or shame you for, because it's all beautiful. It's all needed. And this is where I have not seen or experienced other safe spaces like that. I have seen a very immature maiden energy out there, where it's like, I'll hold it for so long, but when it gets too hard, I'm just going to be like, well, that's your responsibility, see you later. And that doesn't mean that I have to people please and I have to hold things for other people. That's not it. But I can be a space. I can show up in friendships in that way. I can show up for my partner in that way. And I also show up for my clients in that way, to let them know that they're not alone, because I fucking felt so alone. I felt so alone. I felt so lost. I felt like I'd lost contact with a whole lot of friends who we didn't even really align anyway, because I wasn't into what they were into anymore. But then I hadn't really found friends that I felt safe with on the other side, because it still feels like competition. It still feels clicky to me. It still feels like guru fucking energy, like somebody else is on a pedestal. And I'm just not here for that. That's just not who I am as a person. And it's interesting because I have Aquarius in my chart who has a God complex. Um, but I don't align with it. I don't feel it. And this isn't me casting judgment, by the way. This is me speaking what I have seen in the collective and what women have come to me to talk about it too. So like this is being reflected to me by so many. And I feel like when you become a soul-led entrepreneur, that journey can get even lonelier, right? Um, Particularly when you're trying to manage a business, you're trying to manage a household, a relationship, friendships, and you feel like you are doing it all on your own. Because at the beginning, and like I'm 2 years in, and I can't afford help, right? I had the beautiful financial support of my other half, in some regard, and I was able to get help for a while, but I can't continue that on because the business is not making enough. And that is just truth from me at the moment. I'm happy to speak that truth. And I don't fear people like, oh my God. But that's where I'm at right now, right? I'm hoping not to be there forever, and I won't be there forever. And I know I won't be because there's beautiful things coming. But it can feel really lonely in that, right? Because we want to have a thriving business because I want to help, right? But I can't help if the business isn't nourishing me. Like I can't continue to open capacity if I can't step into this full time. And right now I can't. I have to work a part-time job to keep the bills paid. And I know any fucking business coaches listening there, I know I've heard it, right? I've heard the scarcity, I've heard the lack, I've heard just take the leap, right? This is where I'm at, okay? I don't need the advice. Thank you very much. And I mean that in a very loving way, right? I've heard it. I know. Okay. But for me, it's like I need my business to be nourishing and nurturing me so I can continue to show up in this space. And that also makes me feel incredibly guilty because I also want to create a community for women because I see that part of me inside them. And this is where a lot of my business has an array of offerings from like really low cost in-person stuff like my women's circles, my yoga classes, to my free sunrise social group that I run here in Galway, um, to then also my higher ticket offerings for people who want more in-depth stuff, who want more information, who want more access to me. And this is the really hard part of running a fucking business, let me tell you, because if I could give it all for free, I would. I can't run a business off that, right? And this is where that I think a lot of the soul-led businesses, I don't want to say have gone wrong, but I feel this is where they are also stuck because any of the women who really truly aren't just in it for the money. And yes, they're charging big money, but they're not just in it for the money. They want to build communities. They want women to feel safe. This is the standoff that we have with each other, right? And if any of you are a business owner who's listening, I know exactly how you feel. I'm interrupting this juicy podcast with an even juicier offering for you. So, if you're loving what you're hearing here and you feel like, yes, I want more of this, I want to completely open up into my divine feminine, I want to connect with my womb space, I want to ignite the beautiful, sexual, erotic creature within, I want to play in the realms of pleasure, well, I have just the beautiful offering for you, and that is my Womb On one-to-one coaching program. This coaching program is nothing like ever seen before. It is an incredible space of just community, connection, love, pleasure, joy, and just fucking transformation is the only word that I can give you. Any woman who has come along with me on this journey has just quantum leapt in her transformation of stepping forward into her power and learning and knowing who she motherfucking is. It's been absolutely incredible watching women walk this path and also so honoring for them to choose me to walk this path with them. So this is for the woman who is just ready, who is done playing small, who has had so much go on in her life and not sure how to become unstuck, to fully unbind herself from what is tying her and holding her down to where she is, where she no longer feels pleasure, she's constantly exhausted, overwhelmed, worn out, not sure who to speak to, not sure where to turn. Well, baby, it's fucking here. this is your space. So if you're interested, I would love for you to send me a message, a DM. Let's fill out the application form. Let's see if we resonate and let's get you onboarded, because I can just tell this is where the transformation is going to happen. I just know it. And all I simply do is guide and hold the space. You do all the work yourself. This is all done by you. So the achievement is even better at the end. So I have loads of different packages that all range at different prices, at different levels of working with me. And I also provide payment plans. So we can extend your payment plan. We can look at something different. We can tailor it to you. Just get on board. I am so excited to hold this space with you. I cannot wait. And I'm now going to let you go back to your podcast. I'm sending you all my love. And yeah, by owning a business, sometimes it is trying to walk that fine line between creating and serving and being able to nourish and nurture yourself. So I also wanted to speak to the soul-led entrepreneurs in this space who are listening to my podcast as well, to let you know that I'm very aware how lonely it can feel sometimes, because I can't spend the ridiculous amount of money on a coach. I have one particular coach that she's so within arm's reach, and I really love her energy and she just ignites me all the time. But to be able to show that up consistently to her, I need to be able to do that from a place of nourishment and nurturing. And I know that that will come. My day will come. My day is coming. But it sometimes feels really sad that, this is the world that we do have to live in. And I want to create a business that's sustainable, but also here to serve, and to support. And it is a really hard time trying to learn to balance those, queens. Okay, so any of the soul-led entrepreneurs out there, I see you, I completely understand. But even just for those who aren't, maybe you're a mum and you're working and you're a mum and you're also a wife and you have friends and you have to run 2 or 3 kids to school, or even one kid to school every day. Maybe you're a single mum doing it all by yourself, trying to work, trying to keep the bills, also trying to look after herself and not instill trauma on her own children. Like, I see you, right? And you don't have to do this alone. There are so many ways that you can get out into a community here. And what I have found is that, there's different forms of community. So like I am building a community of women in my center where they come together and they can connect, and like most of the time they're strangers to each other. I have another community where they like to be outdoors and we go hiking, and part of the women from my like my circles are part of that community as well, and some aren't. I've now started heels dancing, and that has become a real community. Now it's only my first 6 weeks, so I'm still getting to know everyone. But it's all about finding this support for ourselves and looking for it in places that we didn't think we could, and looking for the low cost option if you can't afford something right now, right? I'm very aware that it's hard when you don't have the finances available to you at this moment in time, and it's trying to find places where you can get that, whether it's Facebook groups, whether it's a running club, whether it's a yoga class that you pay for a few times a month. It's all about trying to show up where you can, because we're communal beings, right? We're tribal as nature, like natural beings. That's what we are. We congregated in tribes. We didn't build a kingdom on its own. We didn't build cities on our own. It wasn't just one person, it was people. The temples around the world weren't created by just one person. That was created by a lot of people, right? We need that in this world. To build our inner temple, we also need people, right? And of course, you get to choose who comes into that temple. You get to choose who gets to worship at the feet of that temple and who gets to step in. But don't isolate yourself. It is a really fucking lonely journey. And we don't have to hold it all. We don't have to do it all on our own. And it's so fucking scary. It's absolutely terrifying when you step out of who you were and trying to find who you are and not feel like you have that support. And this is why I'm seeing a natural shift with all of my programs, where it is actually all going to become group work, and there's a group aspect to everything that I do. So like even with Women, even though that is currently my one-to-one coaching program, you have a community Telegram group to speak to other women, to talk to them about what's coming up for you, to not feel so fucking alone, and also not to feel that the only person you're speaking to is your coach and a partner, which is what happened to me. That you don't always feel like you have to lean on, that one person in your life who you always leaned on, or that you have to hold that cross or carry that cross all on your own. This isn't a burden, okay? This is life. And we should be able to reach out and look for help. And whether we can afford it financially or not, we can show up in some space in some way and feed that beautiful self that we want, feed that beautiful community, that soulful need to be around people, and stop demonizing it, which is what I really am seeing, or that like it has to be expensive, right? Okay, coaches are going to charge what they're going to charge. Okay, I charge what I charge. I know the transformation that I bring to my clients. That's why I charge what I do. I obviously have other low cost options that you can join in on. You can access what you need at all different cost price points. And I really feel that that's what's happened, is a lot of people are like, well, I can't afford the €700 a month, so I'm just going to do this all on my own. Instead of being like, well, where can I find a support group? Maybe it's a mum and toddlers group. Maybe it's a sunrise social group. They have them all over the country. Maybe it is looking for a women's circle that meet twice or once a month. Maybe it's seeing if anybody's out around the full moon on the local beach and just going to one of those and finding people through that, so you don't feel so alone, so you can feel seen. And that has been a really important lesson for me, and it's something I'm really coming through this year, because I've been well over a year without a full-time coach. I'm a year and a half now, and I still found having a coach a very lonely journey, because there was no group element, and I require that because community is my thing. And I thrive in it. And this is what I'm now learning by holding these communities that I'm beginning to grow. Is finding that I feel so much more safe, and not because they're validating me. This is the piece. It's not that I'm feeling validated or anything. It's actually, I just feel so happy to just show up somewhere and just be me, and not really give a shit if people like me or not, because I am who I am, and that's the only version they're ever going to see of me, because they didn't see the old me. They're getting the full, authentic, revealing me. And I don't know how these people feel about it. I see women come back from my women's circle, so I'm beginning to think they do enjoy it. But I don't need that validation. I can show up for that, for me in that, and get what I need from it. And a coach will come in for me when I'm ready for one. I truly believe that the finances will come in when they're ready. But for anybody who is ready to take the next step, who feels like they are ready to commit to finding a support group, a community, but also to do the one-to-one coaching, to feel seen and heard, and not that they have to continue to do this on their own, who are ready to be in their own sexual awakening, to feel sexy, to come home to their bodies, and to do this on a different level than what's being told to us out there. I would really urge you to look into my Woman program. And if you can't, there are so many other things on my website that can help you from just now. Whether it's my breast massage meditations or my divine feminine ones, to my masterclasses that are up there. I also have It's Not About the Orgasm, which is going to relaunch in a few weeks. If you're in Galway, I have Womb Sounds coming in, which is a massive community aspect. It's 6 weeks in person with 6 beautiful women to delve into your womb space, to feel raw and vulnerable, and to feel held on your journey, to feel seen and learn to advocate for yourself. So, there's so much out there. And even if it's not me, right, go have a look and see if there's anybody out there that you can work with on some form of level, or add yourself into a community somewhere, join a running club, join a walking club, sea dips, whatever it is, coffee and chats. There's something out there for everybody. But I just really want to urge you that You don't have to do this alone. I'm so done with this hyper independent spiritual chick. Like, it's not sustainable long term. It's not who we are. We can own our own shit. It doesn't mean we have to walk through the fires on our own, though. And I truly believe that. And I do wish somebody had said that to me a long time ago. But I isolated for a reason. It was to be able to bring this message to you. So I hope you all have a beautiful day. I am off now to speak to my beautiful clients, to have some beautiful evening with myself. I'm going to do a grief rage ecstasy practice, and yeah, I am here, Queens. If you need me, reach out, DM, send me a message. I want to be here and support in whatever way I can. And hopefully we will continue to see this beautiful community grow. And I'm sending you all my love. Thank you so much for watching or listening to the Unbound Woman podcast. I just absolutely love when I receive your feedback, your shares on Instagram, comments letting me know, your DMs, your emails, saying how much you've enjoyed this episode or just the podcast in general. And it really just lights me up and allows me to continue recording and gives women a voice here. I love sharing with you all the beautiful women that I come into contact with to raise their awareness, pass on their message, for you to meet other women in this space. Maybe you resonate with them, maybe you love the message that they have, maybe you for the first time ever heard something and you had like a mic drop or a light bulb moment, and that's what this beautiful podcast is all about. So I would love if you could share this podcast again, as I said, on Instagram, email me, give me some comments, provide a review, or just simply share it with somebody. Share it with your mum, with your aunts, with your friends, with your colleagues, with whoever you think this will benefit, because the more we spread the word, the better. The more information women can have in their hands for free, because it's their goddamn fucking right, the better. And that's what this podcast is here for, to bring that awareness in all different ways. So thank you once again for just being absolutely fucking amazing, for showing up with me every time I release an episode. And what I would like to offer you is, if you go to my website, www.spiralwithniamh.com, I would love if you could sign up for my newsletter, and what you receive is a free Create Your Own Pleasure Practice Guide. This beautiful guide was created by me on how to create your own daily ritual or pleasure practice, and how to bring pleasure into your life on a more regular basis. Because you know what? You fucking deserve it. You are a queen, you are a goddess, and the time is now. And I send you all my love, and I'll speak to you all next week.